So, hi, I'm Ashni Gandhi. I'm the Americorps Vista at Rockford University here with Crystal Savage she's the Marketing and Community Services Director at Rockford Rescue Mission. How are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. So, I just want to know what services do you offer at the Rescue Mission?
Yeah, so Rockford Rescue Mission has been serving our community since 1964. So we have been in the community for 55 years, going on our 56th year this May. And a lot of people, when they hear about Rockford Rescue Mission, they think food and shelter, which is very much so what we do, so much more. So obviously we have our food service program, our meal service program, and currently we're still serving about 600 meals every day. And so people from our shelter, our recovery, or our community can come and receive meals. And so that is just an awesome way of meeting a need in the community for those who might not be financially able to provide meals but might still have housing. We also have our crisis centers. So those are emergency crisis centers. So if somebody becomes homeless and they don't have anywhere to go, we are open 24/7. We serve so many people every year. Last year we served over 1,100 individual men, over 460 women, and over 216 kiddos. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, there's just such a need in the community. And so that is one of those, like, people can just literally come as they are, and we can provide those needs. So food, bed, hygiene items, anything emergency wise. And so a lot of times our average night stay in those areas, our men are looking at really like 11 nights average. Women are really looking at 20 nights average, but it depends on the individual and the situation that they're in. We are also, by the time that they come, within 24 hours, they're receiving free, we call it guest advocating. So we're meeting with them, trying to figure out, what led them to become homeless. And a lot of times people think that homelessness happens when people lose their job or lose their housing. But when you think about it, and Ashley, I'll ask you this. So if you were to lose your job and your housing today, would you be homeless?
I would probably find a family member to stay with or someone I trust.
Bingo. So the root of homelessness is not when somebody loses their job or loses their housing, it's when they're losing relationships. And so we
Oh.
really try to dive into why is an individual losing those relationships? Because at the end of the day, you could move somebody into housing, you could easily find somebody a job, but until you figure out why that cycle of losing relationships is happening, they're going to be staying stuck in that cyclicalness of homelessness. And so we're really tracking that. The big reasons that people give in the Rockford area for homelessness is we are seeing a very high eviction rate. And so when landlords evict, and that goes on the record, it makes that second chance housing very hard for individuals. So a lot of people are saying that eviction is a reason for homelessness, which kind of contradicts what I just said. But when you're looking at why that individual is getting evicted, what life skills are being compromised there.
Okay.
And so we're also seeing a high rate of addiction, as well as domestic violence and relationship conflicts, as well as mental health. So we're kind of looking at what do we need to do to stabilize that issue and help move them forward so they don't have to keep coming to the mission. So if somebody
Wow.
is struggling with addiction, we actually have a free long-term life recovery program at the mission, which if anybody really knows or has been impacted by somebody that struggles with addiction and has gone through treatment, they would know that a 30-day program, it's expensive. You're looking, usually they're running insurance, but it's around like $20,000 depending on where you're going. A lot of times if insurance runs out, facilities say, you have to go. At the Rockford Rescue Mission, we have a free, so we do not take money from anybody. We don't take insurance, and it's a long-term recovery program because really when you're looking at stopping the cycle of addiction, it's going to take so much more than 30 days. And so our program is 9 months to 12 months. And so 9 months minimum. That's the quickest that somebody can get
Wow.
through our program. And we base it on stages. And so we use a program called the Genesis process. And so it looks at the science behind addiction as well as what we know biblically about addiction. And that's the really awesome thing at the Rescue Mission is we are a faith-based organization, and we're able to be that because we do not accept any government funding or receive any United Way funding. And so somebody doesn't have to believe in the Bible or believe in Jesus to come to the mission. We always just respect where they're at, and we ask that people respect where we're at. But it's so awesome to really just see people's hearts be changed through processes, and by hearts being changed, lives are being changed. And so this Genesis process, even all of our staff, most of the staff goes through it. I tell you, day one, I was like boo-hooing, and it digs deep, because we always tell our people, because so many times they label themselves as an addict or an alcoholic or a drug addict. And we always say it is not drugs and alcohol that's the problem. There's another problem, and that's their solution. And a lot of times we're seeing a lot of trauma. We're seeing a lot of, whether it be childhood abuse or adolescent abuse, that usually is kickstarting that addiction, which accelerates. And so nationally, the recovery rate is about 2%. So they say about 2% of people who attempt recovery will be successful. How we track success, and it's a hard marker to track, is once they complete our program, so that 9 to 12 months, and then they go into aftercare for another 6 months remaining in recovery. That's when we mark success rate, because then they go through our graduation and everything. And so last year we actually had a 58% success with our men and 56% success with our women. So
That's amazing.
It really is. And it breaks our hearts when we see people that do leave. But the really amazing thing about the mission is, even if people leave, if they're not ready for it at that time and at that moment, as much as you want somebody to be ready, you can't make them. And so we do have people who come, a second time, a third time, a fourth time, and we love them probably more each and every time. But so that program is available. Currently, we have 12 women in our program and 24 men in our program. And so once they complete the program, the really awesome thing that I referenced was that they receive aftercare. But a piece of that is that they can actually remain in our program for up to another year. So individuals can receive free transitional housing, and then that's when they can go out into the workforce and things like that, and then still have that accountability of a safe environment. So that's our recovery program. We also have our work center, which works very closely with our crisis center and our recovery program, as well as it's free to the community. And our work center is our education and vocational training center. So we do assessments with the individuals to see where they are at education-wise, vocational training for, what are their goals career-wise and where do they want to go. And we really set our individuals up for success on, not just getting that quick job that is going to, give them money for 2 weeks and then they get laid off or the plant closes down, but really looking for sustainable, safe employers. And we have so many partners in our Rockford community who partner with us on that. And we also have education programs, and actually Rockford University, Rock Valley College, so many of the universities in the area partner with us as well and offer special trainings and things as well. And then we have partners who actually do job fairs on site. And I can tell you, a lot of people who hire individuals who have gone through the work center at the mission usually call back or say we want more, because so many people are so thankful for just that second chance, because a lot of our people do have criminal backgrounds or, just they're not polished that way, but that second chance just means the world to them. And actually my dad has hired somebody from the mission, and he has a second guy now from the mission, and he just adores them. And it's just so awesome to kind of see that personal community partnership happen, but then see that with people who are on our board. Subway's been an awesome partner, so I think they have 6 of our people right now working for them. And it's just so cool to see that happen. And actually within the last year as well, we became a certified GED testing center, which is really, really remarkable and just amazing for our people, because my understanding is there's only one other in the Rockford area, and it's about a half mile off the bus route. So if you're thinking through that lens of, okay, maybe a single mom that has a couple kids, talk about a barrier. To try to get there, try to have the kids, try to do a testing, and I hated testing when I was younger. I'd rather write a paper any day than take a test. And so, having it at the mission and having familiar faces, if you don't do well, still having that person that's going to say, hey, when are we going to try again? And that encouragement is huge. So we have our work center. We also have Hope Clinic, which a lot of people I don't think realize that we have. We actually have a medical facility on site. And especially right now with COVID-19, this has just been just beyond a blessing that we have just been so thankful for. So we have a full-time nurse on our staff. We have a doctor who is like a medical director for us. So if we have any questions that we need to reference, yeah, Dr. Buzzard is always right there for us to help answer questions. And then we also have partnerships with chiropractors, dentists, dental hygienists, who actually will come in on their lunch breaks and help serve our people. So usually it's open for our guests, our residents, as well as the community. So if somebody is feeling, under the weather or down, they can come in, Nurse Jen can check them out, and then we can see where we can go from there. If they need more extensive care, we partner with like Crusader Clinic and Dental Dimensions, but there's just so many just awesome ways that we can help serve our people, because a lot of times individuals who are experiencing especially chronic homelessness, they haven't learned how to properly take care of themselves. And a lot of times what we've seen is, like, let's say they have a stomach ache, or maybe they got, a nasty cut or something. Usually what people are doing is they're dialing 911 and the ambulance is coming and they're taking them to the ER, because they don't have a family doctor. Immediate care, I don't know if it's not on the radar or, what's going on there. But we can help kind of curb that that burden that can be on the hospitals as well as the taxpayers, because a lot of times they don't have insurance. And so Hope Clinic, we can just call up Nurse Jen and she can come down, or they can come up and check them out, and then we can help do a better evaluation from there. And is it something that we can take care of right here at our clinic? Do you need to go to immediate care? Sometimes we do call. It just helps with that buffer. And a lot of times what people really need is just that soul care, and just really feeling like somebody cares and will talk to them. And Nurse Jennifer is just awesome for that. She is one of the sweetest women ever. Everything in her office is pink and you get candy when you leave. So it's just really amazing. We also have opened up a performing arts center. Wow. So that's and we have so much going on.
We have a lot of services.
We really do. So our Performing Arts Center is open for our residents in life recovery, and this comes into play with like music therapy. So they attend classes, the women attend a class and the men attend a class, and then they can sign up for private lessons, and just that outlet of music therapy. And how many times have you listened to a song and just had it speak to your soul or your heart in a way that you didn't maybe even know you were feeling? And so it's just a great outlet for individuals that are working on recovery. And a lot of them actually have had some sort of background or exposure with music before. And, like, let's say they play the guitar and they're in active addiction and they, need to get a fix and they don't have any money. What's going to happen to that guitar? It's going to be the first thing pawned to be able to get the fix that they need, and they lose touch with that talent, and that, all ties back into self-worth and everything in that way. And so it's just really remarkable to see them grow in that area. As well as we have art therapy. A lot of people know our art therapy under the name of Remade. And so it started with a women's volunteer actually who would come in, and she would just kind of do like the shabby chic type crafts with them, painting, distressing, taking items that might be donated at our thrift store and fix them up. And then they started to do like the Main Street markets in Rockford, and it went over really well. And so about 2.5 years ago now, we opened up our remade store, and it like did really, really awesome. The guys got a little bit jealous, so we actually purchased the building behind us, and that has become the men's wood workshop. And so they are building like custom tables, desk, coffee tables, the Adirondack chairs. They're also doing like smaller items that then will go over to the women's class, and they'll paint and distress them. And those were in the store. And well, now what we're doing, you had mentioned when we were chatting earlier about our cafe.
Yes.
That's one of our stores that support the mission. So 100% of the proceeds go to the mission. But actually in December, we have decided that we are merging our cafe and remade into one new destination experience. So it is going to be at the location that was the cafe, so 625 West State Street. It was supposed to open March 20th, but COVID had other ideas for us.
Yes.
And so our new store is called Nettie's Mercantile, and it is still going to have like our coffee drinks, grab and go lunch items, as well as like a downtown shopping experience that is really, you know, rescuing or restoring the rescued is what we're saying. And so, you know, those items that people are throwing away that we're remaking, the residents are remaking, as well as when the residents are doing this, they're being remade. They're learning new job skills that then they can go to the work center and put on their application and then take to an employer. And so it's really holistically looking at helping individuals transform their lives. And the community is just so awesome to support that, you know, and whether it be through volunteering, financial gifts, or supporting the stores, which I didn't mention our thrift store, and that is one of my favorite stores in Rockford. Over dollars for us every year to be able to help keep the mission up and going and running, because we are actually over a $7 million operation a year.
Wow.
You know, talked about free. You know, from meals to the recovery, you know, and just the amount of individuals that we see come through. There is such a need, and we just really believe in helping transform those lives. And so that's what we're doing at the mission.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And you have mentioned a couple of times just like the issues or the changes needing to be made because of COVID-19. So how is the mission coping with COVID-19? How have you adapted? What steps have you taken just to make yourselves more accessible or less accessible to the community?
Yeah, so we are still open and serving individuals, but like so many organizations and businesses, we are really quickly adapting and changing how we are distributing those services to make sure our guests and our residents and our staff are safe. And so we've really, just as a leadership team, all been very closely monitoring the situation. And it's kind of happened in phases, you know, as the CDC makes recommendations. But really where we're at today is we are very strongly practicing social distancing. So really, we've rearranged our day rooms. We've changed kind of the sleeping patterns that we have in our bunk rooms. We had to make the very hard decision to only take as many individuals into our crisis center as we have physical beds, because a lot of times we're over our bed capacity and we have mats on the floor and we want to, you know, serve everyone that we can because there's that need, but right now we want to make sure that everyone's staying safe. So we're partnering you know, with our community leadership and, you know, alternatives for people who are the most vulnerable to be able to keep beds open. So if somebody is experiencing, you know, domestic violence in the middle of the night, we do have a bed open. So just the partnership and the communication has been phenomenal, as well as in our great room, which is our meal hall. We have expanded expanded our seating area. We have like little blue tape marks at where approved spots are to sit. And instead of doing like waiting in line and picking up a meal tray off of the, what we call it the line, but off of like the buffet style serving that we do, it's pre-put on the tray, and it's all disposable materials right now. And our guests and our residents that are receiving overnight stays are eating in with us, and it's already preset for them. So there's not a lot of movement or anything like that. They have to sit at those designated spots. And then our community right now, we're still serving our community, but we're doing it in like to-go lunch or to-go dinner style. And they come to the mission, and we give it to them to go. Because a lot of them have houses or shelter in the community, and they just come here to eat. So that's kind of what we've done with our meal service. Our residents, they are all staying put. So our long-term residents have just been such a help and such a blessing in this. They're doing really awesome. You know, they've been they're very limited on movement right now. So unless they're working and they're in that transitional phase and they have their schedule from their employer, same thing with our crisis guests, you know, then they're permitted to go to work. Same thing with doctor's appointments. You know, if they have a scheduled doctor appointment and proof of that, then they can go to their doctor's appointment. But otherwise, we've had to make the decision that everyone stays in the mission, and they can go once a week for 30 minutes to go to the store, you know, pick up things that they might need for the week, whether it be, you know, cigarettes if they smoke, or, you know, whatever it may be that they need that we aren't able to provide, which we can provide everything that is like a need. So really people don't have to leave the building, but so they can do that once a week right now. And then all of our guests are required to wear face masks unless they are sleeping. So that's a need that we do have right now is face masks, which I'm sure we'll probably chat about that. But then our work center right now is closed down. You know, it's just one of those, we've had to put that on hold. And so some of our work center staff is working remotely, as well as we had to suspend our volunteer program right now. And we weren't as worried about, you know, our guests and our residents because they're not as mobile as our volunteers are. But really just keeping our volunteers safe, keeping our guests and our residents safe, and making sure that, you know, if somebody is, you know, infected and maybe they don't know it, that we're, you know, not exposing each other. Hand sanitizer is running like a river in the mission. We have it everywhere. So before anybody comes in the building, we're like, you know, sanitize your hands. And we have a lot of the CDC posters and signs up. We're really sitting down, especially with our crisis guests, because a lot do experience mental health. A lot are, you know, experiencing mental health that they haven't been treated for. So this can be a really scary and confusing time. Like I know it is for, you know, us in this situation. And then you just, you know, tack on the traumatic experience of being homeless or, you know, a mental health barrier. And so really working with our people to try to have them understand, you know, the importance of covering a cough, the importance of, you know, washing their hands. And our facility, we have always just been so, we put such an emphasis on cleanliness and keeping things clean because we have a lot of people in our building. We need it to be clean, but we are just like popping in so many more cleaning times and cleaning hours. And so just, it smells great when you go in there. Just making sure, you know, everything is clean, as well as, you know, the leadership team, we're meeting every day. The programs team, like that frontline team, you know, they're coming just together. Our thrift store right now is closed for shopping as well as donations. And we're really trying to get the word out as much as we can that please do not drop donations off at the thrift store right now. We want to just abide by our state and community recommendations of everyone needs to shelter in place, so we don't want people out and about. And on top of that, no one's there. So the donations are being left outside and the weather's kind of nasty, and sometimes it might just walk off. So no donations right now at the thrift store or the main mission unless it is on our monthly needs list or on our emergency needs list for COVID. So right now we're suspending all donations as well, because our staff is limited. And then our thrift store staff is actually, a lot of them are stepping up and working on the front lines. And so they're working in our crisis areas and our life recovery areas. The staff that can work remotely are working remotely, or having limited time in the mission, just to really, try to cut down on everything that we can and keep everyone safe.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys are really in tune with the guidelines and keeping everyone safe, which is amazing to hear
Yeah.
because we want you guys to succeed and it's definitely a need in the community. So it's nice to hear that your services are still being offered for those who need it.
Yeah.
And I mean, now that we see how you've been adapting, it's kind of like, well, how can students or people who want to help, like you mentioned, not being able to run the volunteer program, but how can students help with during this time?
Yeah, so it's been so amazing to just see our community rally behind. I manage our social media on Facebook and on Instagram, and I've been really trying hard to keep it up to date with like what our needs are, as well as just those things to help keep people busy because we're all going a little stir crazy right now, and so. Just really trying to keep the public informed on what we do need right now. And so, plugging in with us, whether it be on our website, whether it be on social media, we still do have our receptionist there. And so if people want to call and find out ways to get involved, that would be awesome. But really, just keeping an eye on what our needs are on our COVID needs list, as well as our April needs list. And then our donation times are more limited now, and that's all on that list there, of the times and where things can be dropped off. And so really just abiding by that, because even we're having some problems with, where we need the food donations, but if staff is not there and food gets left outside, we can't use that food. So really making sure that, the times that we are available, and we know it's more limited right now, and that's just because we're more limited right now. And so, helping us with those needs. We do have a link on our website if people want to make a financial gift. That would be just such a huge blessing because, like I said, we don't take any government funding. We don't receive any United Way funding. We're supported by our community, our organizations, our businesses, our churches. And so just being able to make sure that we can still meet all those needs for the individuals that we're serving. And we still have a lot of people. Last night we had 125 people sleeping at the mission. So
Wow.
yeah, that's a lot of people sleeping there. So when you think through the stuff that you use in a day, shampoo, toilet paper, hand sanitizer, soap, that's a big need, as well as our meal services. We're still serving over 600 meals every day. And so kind of thinking through that filter of what could be used for like the grab and go meals. So, individually wrapped items. We're doing a lot of sandwiches. So sandwich breads, cheese, meats, the little juice packs or bottled waters, those are all just such a help right now.
And so what social media, like what's your name on social media? How can people follow you?
Absolutely. So we are active on Facebook as well as Instagram.
Okay, cool.
So if you just search Rockford Rescue Mission, it should pop right up. And then if you're interested in checking out our stores, once we can actually go out and about and shop, you can find Thrift Store on Facebook, and then you can find Nettie's Mercantile on Facebook and Instagram. And a lot of times we're doing some cross-posting with that, so you can keep up to date with that as well.
Thank you for joining me, Crystal. It was a pleasure talking to you and sharing and learning more about the rescue mission. Thanks for all the work you and your organization have been doing.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking this time, to talk with us about what we need and what it looks like, because we are very much still there, and people are still needing help. That doesn't stop. And the biggest thing is, we're all sheltering in place in our homes, and so many people don't have homes. And so the mission is their home right now, and just any help that we can get to make sure that it's, safe and still, helping transform lives is just, it's amazing.